In this AlignMix video, you will learn how to create a sales territory index. Now, what is a sales territory index? Well, it's a combination of all the data sets that you've imported that you can merge into one data set that allows you to create balanced and optimized sales territories. So let's go ahead and create an index. To do that, you click here on Tools and then click on Create Index. And you'll only be able to create a territory index if you've imported data, and it can be data at the account level or zip code level or both. And we will merge all those data sets using percentages to create a new data set. And there's two ways that we can create an index. One is at a full-time equivalent, which will mean that each territory, when balanced and optimized, will have 1 FTE of index. Or you can use the second option, which creates an average territory. So an average territory will have 1,000 index points. But before you make a selection here, we need to type in the total number of territories that we plan to have in this file. And we need to do that first because the sales territory index will be created based on this total number of territories. So let's create this index for 100 territories. And if we use an average territory index, that means there will be 100,000 index points across the whole country, so that each one of those 100 territories gets an average of 1,000 index points. If you're using the FTE, that means there's 100 FTEs across the country, and each territory should ideally be at 1 FTE. For this example, let's stick with the average territory at 1,000 points, and click on Next. From here, we see the data sets that we've imported into this file. And I've imported only 3 data sets, and you can see them here: sales, potential value, and calls. So we need to now set our weights. We would like to put a 10% weighting on current sales. Then we will put potential value at 30%, and calls, which is our workload measure, will be at 60%. And we need to make sure to allocate 100% across our data sets. You can also ring fence and constrain some data sets. So if you didn't want to have negative index points, we can set a limit of 0 here for sales, and you can also constrain things on the upper end by typing in the numbers here for maximum. So now let's click on Next. We want that data set called Index 100. Click Next again, and now we see a histogram showing accounts by index and zip codes by index, and click on Finish. And just like that, we've created a new data set, which is our sales territory index. But we can't see that data set, and that's because we haven't set it as a label yet for our territories. To create that new label, you simply click on either Layers or Home, and now click on Configure Layers. From here, you select Territories on the left-hand side, and you can see that we only have Territory ID as our current label. So to add a new label, click on the green plus button, and it will default to showing a label type as Territory Data. And then under Item, we double-click, and we select the index. And we don't need a caption because we're just setting one label, and now click on OK. And right away you'll see that label appear. And to make things easier, let's turn the accounts off from view. So as I mentioned during the index creation process, ideally every territory should be at 1,000 index points because we created this index for 100 territories. And we currently have only 99 territories, so during this process, we will also have to add a brand new territory. But before we do that, you can see right away that there's some territories that are not near that 1,000 point mark. We typically want our territories as close to that 1,000 point as possible, but we will allow a grace of about 15%. So on the upper end, we can have 1150, and at the low end, 850. So here we've got 2 territories in Long Island. One is at 1245 and the other is at 746. So if you're using the index to balance and optimize your territories, you will now need to shift the index from this yellow territory, which is too high, to this red territory, which is too low. And you can do that using the touch align tool. You simply click on that red territory, and now you can chip away from zip codes with data. And as I do that, you can see the index is decreasing on the left and increasing on the right. And just like that, we've balanced the two out and we let go. You can see I've brought down the index of the yellow territory to 1,000 and boosted the index for the red territory to above 900. So that's the process you will need to use to balance and optimize your territories if you're using a sales territory index. So you will have to go through your whole map territory by territory to make sure everything is balanced. And at the same time, you will have to add a brand new territory somewhere because this index is built for 100 territories. If you decide to change the team size, you will have to rerun the territory index and then reset that label for that new index. And there you go. You've just learned how to create and use a territory index here in AlignMix.